children, welcome back to our online session. Last week I have sent you one link. In that we have started our new lesson, measurement of physical quantities. In that we have studied about scalar quantity and vector quantity. In that we also study about mass and weight. Now today I am going to discuss about why we need standardized measurement method. So let us see that. Children, our forefathers means our ancestors, they were not having like this equipment in olden days to measure the things. They were using their body parts to measure different things. For example, handspan. Now see, handspan means the distance between our this little finger and thumb. It is known as handspan. By using handspan, they used to measure short distance. For example, suppose I want to measure the breadth of this green board, then they were using in such a way. Okay, so it is less than 3 handspan. Suppose the same distance will measure by small children, then it will be 3 handspan or 4 handspan. Okay, if the small children will count this, then it will be more than whatever I have counted. So here we are not getting the correct measurement. For this purpose, many scientists, they research on it and they select the standardized measurement method. How it works to understand this phenomena better, here I am sending you one link. Please go through that link, watch it carefully.
Good morning, children. Today we shall talk about measurement. Have you ever seen your mother putting every ingredient carefully in a certain amount while cooking? Or sometimes, when you are not well, your parents might touch your forehead to find out whether you have fever or not. Or at times, you are able to figure out that your school bag is heavier or lighter from other days just by holding it. All this may not be accurate or exact, but you at least get a fair idea. This rough idea of how much is called estimation. In many cases, this estimation skill is very useful for us. And as we saw, we make use of it in everyday life. Even you kids are really good estimators, believe me. Looking at your homework, don't you estimate how much time you will take to complete your homework and how much time will be left for playing? Or take another example. When your mother calls you for dinner, you say, 10 more minutes, mother. I will finish my game and come. How did you get that figure of 10 minutes? It was estimation, isn't it? But do you think every time this estimation can work? No, definitely not all the time. Like if you want to go to a friend's place and you have his address but no idea how far or near it is, then you will be confused whether you should go there on foot or use a bicycle or you need to take a bus. In this case, knowing the exact distance between your home and friend's house helps you to choose the appropriate mode of transport. Let's take another example. How do you verify that a new pair of pants is of correct length for you? That is, it is of your exact size? For this, you measure your length, right? So what is measurement? So by measuring, you get accurate dimension, that is length, breadth or height, accurate capacity or quantity of an object. Not just this, even the distance traveled or the duration of a task can be measured. As we saw in the story, the villager gave the exact length for his new pants to be stitched. He also measured it accurately using his hands. But when he got the pants stitched by the tailor, it came out to be short. Why was it so? This is because he used his hands to measure the length required, which was equal to 3 hands. At the cloth shop, another man, that is Goluram's hand, was used for measurement. Even he measured accurately, that is 3 hands only. So, where was the problem? The hands of the villager and Goluram were not of the same size. Goluram's hands were much smaller than that of the villagers. So, the new pant stitched was of short length. What do we conclude from this incident? For consistency or accuracy of measurement, the unknown quantity has to be measured with respect to some fixed quantity, not the varying one. So, instead of two different persons' hands, if the same person's hand were used for giving and taking measurements of the pants, there wouldn't have been any problem, and the villager would have got the correct length for his pants. Or if the luck had favored villager and both villager and Goluram had the same size of hands, problem wouldn't have come up. But we cannot rely on luck or coincidences all the time, isn't it? So, we learned that the unknown quantity has to be measured with respect to some fixed quantity. This fixed quantity against which an unknown quantity is measured is called a unit. You know, in the olden days, this was how things were measured using the different body parts. In one method, they measured distance between the tip of the thumb and the tip of the little finger of a fully stretched hand. This method or unit was called hand span. You know what was the villager referring to when he said 3 hands? Well, he measured the distance between the tip of the middle finger and the elbow. This unit is called cubit. Not just hands, even other body parts like foot was used to measure the length or the distance. As the name suggests, foot span was the length of person's foot. And the distance of a step was also used, which was called a pace. We no longer follow these units nowadays. After seeing the problem faced by the villager while getting a new pair of pants stitched, you must have understood very well why is it so. It is because the length of body parts vary from person to person, and so these units are not reliable, as for the same thing different measurements are there when measured by different people. Therefore, people realized the need for some uniformity. As we saw even in the story, for uniformity, instead of varying length of hands, new units were introduced. As the unit for measuring the length of the cloth, a fixed length was used. This was called meter. It was a unit against which unknown quantity of cloths were measured. So, scientists all over the world have adopted a common sets of units. This system is called the International System of Units or SI units. So now you know what is the difference between estimation and measurement, and why measurement is required, and why we need standard units for measurement. Bye bye kids.